Welcome back to the YouTube. Bit of a different one. Obviously the past few weeks it's been about, cutting down for summer, photo shoots. Wanted to just strip it back, go nice and raw and just run through a little bit of a Q&A. So we put a story up on Instagram just to get some questions, pretty much around the most frequently asked questions as a coach in terms of what I get from clients, what I get from people on Instagram, what people message me and ask, alongside some other bits and bobs with regards to life, business, coaching, Dubai, the ins and outs. So we're going to break it down in terms of sections. We're going to go, I've got some questions in here in terms of just what I need to go through, just to remember them. We'll go through coaching first, then we'll go through a little bit of running. Some people asked with that and Hyrox, business and coaching, Dubai and life, and then just personal. So grab a double espresso. Oh shit, I'm not 8 today, I'm fucking shaking. So let's dive in. Someone asked on Instagram, first one, I think it's a good one to start off with. What is the best way to invest in becoming a better coach? I think when it comes to my coaching, in terms of my coaching career, I did it the absolute best way, and I think everybody should do it. So when you're first starting out coaching as a coach, you don't know anything. Having a level 2 and level 3 qualification means pretty much nothing when it comes to coaching and working with people online. What you need is, 1, experience yourself. And what I mean by that is, what we know, 4 years on from when I started, I've pretty much been through every single experience a client could come to want to, every single experience a client would experience. And I've put myself through the hardest challenges, got myself in shape, got myself absolutely photo shoot shredded, built muscle, pushed body weight up, ran marathons, done all this. I've experienced everything. I've experienced life stress. I've experienced everything. I'm not saying to put yourself in life stress, but I've experienced everything. So when I coach a client through their struggles, when I coach someone through their coaching journey, I've been there. I know what it feels like. I know the difficulties, the struggles, how to feel, the emotions that go through that, the challenges. When you're speaking from a place where you've not been to, how can you ever expect to take a client to a place you've never been before? And I think when it comes back to our start of the coaching journey, when I started, that 1, work with people for free. Gain your experience with working with people, and you have to earn the right to charge. And I think, I don't know what the word would be, that coaches, you become a coach, you're entitled to earn money. We work with people for free for the best part of 12 months just to gain experience, just to prove what I was learning in the background that would actually work on other people, and I could actually do what I said I was going to do whilst working on myself at the same time. The other thing is get a coach. I've had a coach for, probably about 3 years in total, had about 3 or 4 coaches in that time. Gaining experience from different coaches who work with people you want to work with is key, because you will take bits and bobs and bits of information from different coaches. And that is worth its weight in gold. If you're just starting out in the industry and then you've got a coach who's been a coach for 20 years, they're going to have way more experience in terms of how to actually coach and how to actually deliver results and how to actually walk through a journey than you are, because you don't know how to do it. And that's the best way you can learn, by surrounding yourself with people who know more than you and just accepting that you don't know. And it's always being a learner. Even still now, it's still invested into education, still invested into business mentors to actually progress business at the same time. And it's almost like a game of constantly evolving. Don't just almost settle and just think, yeah, I've cracked it. Because when you have access to people who have more knowledge than you, you realize you don't know that much. And the one way to actually improve your confidence is knowing that you can do what you say you do on Instagram. And I think that's the best way to sort of wrap it up. So get yourself in shape. Keep yourself in shape, I think. Don't let yourself get out of shape at all. Hold yourself to a standard way higher than anyone would expect, because people want to be like you. So hold yourself to the standard which you expect other people and people would other want. Learn, invest in your own education, continuously surround yourself with coaches, mentors to upskill and develop, I would say. Number 2, what's the one thing most guys get wrong when they're trying to lose fat on their own? Thinking that more equals better. The amount of times that I've heard guys come to me and it's like, yeah, I've lost weight really quickly but gained it back on. It's the approach. It's in terms of like you're going too heavy too fast and it's just not sustainable, because anyone can have a perfect week and it's almost setting expectation that life is going to be perfect, and it's not. What you have to do is you have to build a system around your life and understand that you've probably got a little bit more body fat to lose than you actually think. Like I always say to people, however much body fat you have to lose, double it, triple it, because you can lose way more body fat than what you think. And you realize when you go through a process that 5-10 kilos is not that much weight if you are overweight. But when they're trying to lose fat on their own, I think, it is refusing to make sacrifices, refusing to say no to things in terms of socials, in terms of drinking, and almost stay stuck in that sort of rock and a hard place between balance and getting in shape, balance and getting in shape. And it's like, sometimes it's going to require you to go through periods of no balance. And I think when it comes to losing fat on their own, I would definitely say overall, the biggest one is focusing too short term, not giving themselves enough time, and going straight in head first with an unsustainable setup, which they can't sustain longer than a couple of weeks. Slower and steadier over a longer period of time will allow for you to get to where you want to be and keep it off, because the approach is going to be much, I'm not saying it is going to be sustainable, but it's going to be much more sustainable and manageable around your life as a whole, because fast, quick requires no bullshit, and that's why people can't sustain it. How do you structure your nutrition for someone who travels a lot or eats out constantly? So we'll go for a bit more with like travels a lot, because we have got one guy who can't track his food. He is working in the mines in Australia. We have no way of actually tracking his calorie intake. We literally just go off food pictures and understanding portion control. I think this is why a meal plan is really, really good, because if you've never followed a meal plan before, a meal plan allows you to see quantities in your face. So right now, for me personally, I could get in shape without tracking any calories completely. And I would know how to lose fat and build muscle based on looking at food and the actual quantities are there. And what I think you have to do is when you are traveling, you have to make a bit more conscious decisions, because a lot of it is just subconscious. I'll grab this, I'll grab that, I'll grab this, I'll grab that. You're not even thinking about it. You're just on the move and on the go. But if you have a basis of, right, I need to get protein in at every single meal. If I'm traveling a lot, am I training? Do I need carbohydrates right now or do I not? And just thinking about foods that will actually keep you full. And I think it's about making that conscious decision rather than just going in on autopilot. It's important to actually look at it and go, right, okay, where's the protein? Look at, read a menu and go, the chickens, the steaks, what's grilled and what's not deep fried, what's not battered, something that you would subconsciously just order for the sake of it. It's like making a conscious decision, what would you normally eat on a day-to-day basis? There's loads of yogurts and protein yogurts and there's fruit, and you can go into a shop, you can get chicken, you can get a wrap. It is a bit more hassle, and that's the whole point. It's like other things like fast food is quick and easy. It's about making conscious decisions and actually just going, right, okay, what is right? What is the right decision to make in this instance? There's options there's options everywhere where you can have. And it's just about coming into your conscious and not just listening to your stomach and going, yeah, you know what, I fancy that. And it's about making that conscious decision and just being like, what is, clean, what's going to keep me full? Your fruits, your chickens, yogurts. There's access to it all wherever we are. So I would always say that in terms of when you are traveling a lot, come back to the conscious and actually think about what you're doing is so key. And don't use it as an excuse to overeat. Like wherever I'm in the world, I will just think from a perspective of protein at all times. How do you stay in shape through a big social life without it feeling like a sacrifice? So again, we touched on this earlier in terms of having that sort of ultimatum between that rock and a hard place. And for such a long time, I struggled. When I first started out, like getting into shape, obviously coming through like 18, 19, 20, I was stuck in that place, and I thought that's pretty much where my whole coaching business came from, where you could just go out on the weekend and get smashed and get in shape. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And if you're wanting to get, staying in shape, specifically for this question, You have to get yourself in shape first in order to stay in shape. And I say it to people all the time, if you want to stay in shape, like live in shape, you first have to get yourself in shape. I'm not talking a couple of kilos. You have to get yourself in incredible shape first. Build more muscle so it's easier to stay in shape. Build the foundations of that over an 18 month to 2 year period. Cut the body fat down properly and get to a very, very lean spot. That then gives you a runway to then stay lean. And it comes, and it almost unlocks something in your subconscious that when you see yourself in a position you've never seen yourself before, in like ridiculous shape, you'll never want to lose it. You work too hard to get there, you feel too proud, you feel too good, too much has gone into it, you don't want to lose that staying lean. But having a big social life without that sacrifice, you have to pick and choose. You absolutely can't have it both ways, whereby you can drink every weekend, you can get smashed every single weekend and stay in shape. It doesn't work. And it's not just a case of, calories in, calories out. It'll fuck your sleep up. It'll fuck your training performance up. It'll fuck your decision making up. And if you're not having a goal and your goal is to just stay in shape, it's so easy to just let that go and let those standards drop. So I think zoom out. The beers, the social events, they're always going to be there. Picking and choosing is important. If there's nothing on the weekend, don't force it. If there's a birthday, if there's a celebration, if there's a holiday, go and enjoy yourself, of course. But that ability to bounce back the next day and get straight back to it and not allow one day to lead into two is also a big, big thing for me. Like, I've been out on a Saturday, had 20K to run on a Sunday. It's been shit, it's been horrible. But if I've got shit to do, I will just force myself to do it. And I think that's the key thing in terms of when you are eating out, it's not an eating challenge. When you are drinking, zoom out and actually pick the social events which are actually important, not just forcing it for the sake of it. And when you do zoom out, you realize a lot of it is pointless. So I don't feel like I have sacrificed anything. If I go out, I'll earn it, I'll enjoy it, and I'll bounce straight back. But I've got myself in shape first. We did a photo shoot 2 years ago, still in shape now, stayed in shape for the past 2 years, had ample social events, lived my life without feeling sacrificed. But when there's goals in place in between those 2 years, it gets dramatically reduced even more so. Marathon prep, photo shoot, etc. So I think it is just picking and choosing and understanding the impact it's actually having and coming to terms with that. And it's not really a sacrifice, because if you're out of shape, that's a sacrifice to your health. So you've just got to weigh up in terms of, is it actually a sacrifice getting yourself in shape and actually feeling good year round, or having a fucking shits and giggles and being the funny guy on the weekend and then feeling like shit in the week? You've got to weigh it up in terms of, is it actually a sacrifice? I don't think so. I think it's just being a bit more wise in terms of having that balance, which is a proper balance. So that's pretty much it in terms of fitness coaching. In terms of that, pretty much covers everything. In terms of there, I would always say another big one for coaching is, how long does it actually take to get in shape? And it depends. It depends on your starting position. It depends on what your goals are. It just depends. People think that when you do lose the weight once, that's it. If you're overweight, when you lose the weight, that's when your journey starts. Like, if you're carrying 30, 40 kilos of body fat, you need to lose that first before you can even start your journey, because you can't build any muscle. You'll always stay out of shape and overweight if you don't get rid of that. That's going to be the hardest part of your journey, because it's going to be the longest. It might take 12 months to lose it if you've got 34 kilos to lose. But when you get to that point in time, you have a blank canvas. And then from there, you can start your journey. And it's about up and down. It's about build muscle, cut the body fat down, build muscle, cut the body fat down. And that's how over time, you develop your physique to new levels. There's no end game. There's no it takes that long to get in shape. It's just a constant game of improvement. And it's just year on year on year. There's no I'm done now, I'm finished, I'm going to cancel my gym membership and start eating shit. No, it's just looking after your body. It's looking after your health. It's just looking after yourself, keeping you sharp, focused, energized on a day-to-day basis so you feel good year round, not just for a period of your life. Because anyone can say they've been in shape, but can you stay in shape? How long does it take to stay in shape? We work with people from a minimum of 6 months, because I believe that you do need a good 6 months, because there's so much more than just go and follow a diet plan, go and follow a training plan. This whole foundation is to your life, your stress, your sleep, your habits, your digestive system, your mindset, all these things which play a part in you actually getting and staying in shape, which is important. Right, we've got now, next, why am I scared of Hyrox? Samuel Roselle. So I'm not scared of Hyrox, right? But I did say when I came out my marathon prep that I would go into Hyrox and I would tick a box. I don't have that fire to be like, I want to do a Hyrox. Like there's no part of me that goes, you know what, I really want to do one. I'm almost ticking a box for saying I've done a Hyrox and just see what it's like. No one comes to me, clients, saying I want to do a Hyrox. No one's ever said in my client base, for anyone I've worked with, says, I want to do a Hyrox. No one. I know about three or four people that actually do Hyrox. It is popular, but not in the actual masses in terms of coaching and getting in shape. Hyrox will not get you in shape. It will not build you a physique. It will, if you've got muscle, it will help you get leaner. Of course it will. And it will help you more conditioned, but it will not build a physique. And right now, I've come off marathon prep. I've committed 2 years dedicated to running. I've probably lost a bit of size, lost a bit of muscle. I just want to go back to basics for a bit, build some more size, train, eat, repeat, and spend a prolonged period of time doing that before I then enter my next endurance goal. Because what I don't want to do is, I don't want to just get back on the wagon of running more, doing more endurance, doing more cardio, and then risk losing muscle, because my physique is the business. If I'm just looking like a fucking skinny twig, it doesn't look good. So for me, it's like, not saying I'll never do it, but right now, before I enter my next sort of big goal in endurance sport or challenge relating to that, I want a bit more size and I want a better base to build off from. So not scared, just put it on the back burner, and I don't have that drive and urge to go into Hyrox. How did marathon running change how you think about training? That's a good question. So when it comes to marathon training, it's completely strengthened my mindset in terms of boring tasks. So, and especially running on a treadmill. One in particular is like when I'm doing cardio now and I've got 60 minutes of Stairmaster to do, it doesn't even scratch the surface, because I've ran on a treadmill for 34K for 3 hours, right? I've done that. If you can do that and endure that, you realize that your body will do whatever you want. And the only thing really stopping you from actually doing it, and in anything in life, is your mind. So there's multiple times where I've been like on a treadmill and going like, I'll just stop 5K, don't do 1K, don't do this, no one's gonna know, X, Y, and Z. And you just start to listen to your thoughts in your head that your mind's just trying to control your body at all times. And it taught me to completely just remove any association in terms of what my mind says in relation to what I have to do on a day-to-day basis. So before all this training and that kind of stuff, I was that guy that was like, oh, you know what, it's 6 p.m, I'm not gonna go to the gym now, it's a bit late. If I need to go to the gym and it's like 10 p.m, I will go to the gym. If I need to get a meal in, I will go home and get a meal. You know, it's these kind of things which marathon training taught me, that regardless of what you've got on and regardless of what you do, there's a session to do. So you do it. You don't miss sessions, because you can't miss sessions on a marathon prep. You can't miss a single run. So it's almost like no matter what the time is, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how tired you are, no matter what's going on, you've got to get the sessions done. You've got to get the sessions done. And I'd say another thing which marathon taught me about training is like, you cannot focus on 2 goals at once, 3 goals at once. People come to me like, I want to run, I want to build muscle, I want to lose body fat, I want to do, you know, I want to stay in shape, I want to get bigger. It's like, doesn't work. Like, you have to just focus on 1 goal at one time. When I started that marathon prep, I was like, I'm going to get leaner, I'm going to keep my muscle, and I'm going to focus on being a better runner. And I stopped doing that after a while. I was like, the one goal here is this marathon. That is my only goal. So I'm like, right, okay, whatever happens with the physique, I can get it back. Lean, doesn't matter as long as my running's improving. And I focused all solely on that marathon and just ignored everything else. And my running completely transformed. You can only have one focus on one goal at one time, because if you strive, you know, if you cannot strive for like excellence with an outcome if you spread your bets. So if you've got a goal, like a marathon, like getting in shape, like getting body fat, that's your focus. On to the next. Never just 2 or 3 things at once. It doesn't work. Would you ever do an ultra? No. No. I would say the next goal is probably an Ironman. Definitely. It's just about, there's a lot of time commitment to that. And there's a few things in terms of my physique, in terms of business for me to focus on. So that's the next endurance goal, I believe, for me to do. But it needs a 6 to 8 month period of training. So again, building that base first and then go from there. Now, onto the business and coaching career kind of section. So, what does the day-to-day actually look like of running an online coaching business? Now, my weeks vary. So, Sunday, my week starts. Sunday morning, I'll do check-ins with a handful. I think there's about 10 check-ins on a Sunday. So I'll go through those, and then on Sunday, I'll look at my calendar for the week, and then I'll plan it all out and then make sure my YouTube's uploaded. That's pretty much, I like to do some work on a Sunday. Monday and Tuesday are check-in heavy days. So we're doing all the check-ins, replying to clients, going through their weeks, the progress, giving them the video feedback, running through their training, analysing that and communicating heavily with clients and making any changes to the programs on that Monday and Tuesday. So they're client heavy days. Wednesday and Thursday is when we start content. So Wednesday is content planning and content scripting. So scripting the YouTube, scripting all my Instagram posts in terms of writing them all out, planning them all in terms of for the week after, the covers, the captions, everything like that. And then writing out it all. So that takes quite a big chunk. And then planning and thinking about the ideas. Thursday is creation and education. So Thursday, we'll create the content in the morning, which is now, as you can see with the camera. And then in the afternoon, it is education. So learning on a course or anything online that I need to learn more about. I'll go through that on Thursday. Friday is an exciting morning at the minute because we're working on something in the background, but Friday is business. So it's business systems, planning with regards to business, marketing, all that kind of stuff. And then that pretty much takes up until like 3 o'clock, and then I'll pretty much close off until Sunday morning. So Saturday is completely off, but that's pretty much how it runs the week. And then calls, they'll come in as and when, but I usually like to take calls at 6 until 8:30 p.m. or 9 p.m. There's like a block in the evening of calls, whether it be clients, whether it be consultation calls. They'll come in the evenings at 6 till 8:30 p.m., but that's pretty much stays open. And then we'll just fill those as the weeks go on. Now, what was the hardest point in building the business? Another good question. When I think back to a period of time when I started my business, I worked in a job. So I worked as an engineer in a job. There was a period of time in my life whereby there was no balance at all. I used to work like a dog. I was working a 9 to 5, commuting to Manchester every single day. I was doing university course and going to university through the term time, building the business, studying PT qualifications, and then coaching people for free on the side. So there was all those things I was doing at once. My days would literally start at 5 a.m. I would wake up, I'd prep my meals, I would go and drive to work, I would spend the whole day in work, I would do some coaching stuff in work when I could get away with it. Straight from work, I'd go to the gym, I'd come home, I'd work on the business until like 1 a.m., and then just repeat that. And we ran that whole setup for literally like a year. And I think the hardest point I experienced so far was that probably last year, when going through a difficult personal time, was the hardest part in building a business, because business is a roller coaster. Business goes up, it goes down. It's not like a job whereby you just stay the same. Like you know what you're getting every single month. It is what it is. If your head's not in a good spot, business is going to follow it. If you're in a great position, you're going to want to strive for more. So going through a tough personal time caused business to dip, and I think it's like biting your tongue and keeping yourself level-headed and still showing up regardless through that period. You then come out the other end, because it does go like that. So, even in November, I spent £7,500 on a business mentor, and it didn't do anything. And it's like, some people would absolutely cry at that. It's half of a house deposit or whatever, but things like that, they just got to take them on the chin, and it just sort of battle hardens you when it comes to business. So, Dubai. Was moving to Dubai worth it? Yes, I would say so. It's an incredible experience that I get to say that, I could tell the kids about, that I'd moved to Dubai at 24. I built a business to a position whereby I could afford to move to Dubai, and it isn't cheap Dubai. And I've met some great people in Dubai. I've lived in a foreign country for 17 months. I've experienced living outside the UK, an amazing experience in terms of living in a different country, experiencing a different life. I'd say it was worth it. And it's made me a better person. It's raised a standard within myself. It shows me the ceiling to life in terms of growth. And it's made, as a result of me coming back now, it's made me become me again. And almost open my eyes to certain personal things and personal standards which I let sort of slip. So yeah, 100%. Like, it was 100% worth it for the experience. I'm grateful for the people I've met. I'm grateful. And I don't regret it at all. I never want to live my life with what ifs. I've done it. I've got the t-shirt. I wouldn't move back there. That's all I've got to say about Dubai, really. But what made you move back to the UK is the next one. So in the 17 months I lived in Dubai, I flew back to the UK 5 times. And when I moved to Dubai, I moved for someone else. People will know, people won't know, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't like I'm going to move to Dubai. So that was sort of one of the things which I came to conclusion of, and obviously that, you know, as you can put two and two together. And I was flying back to the UK, and all the lads will know that every single time I flew back, on cloud nine, buzzing to see everybody, loved being home with the dogs, with the boys, with family, loved it, so happy. And when I was leaving Dubai to come back to the UK, I was always buzzing. And when I was leaving the UK to go back to Dubai, I was always gutted. And I feel like if Dubai is such this amazing place and I loved it so much and that was where I was supposed to be, I would be buzzing to get back into my routine. I'd be buzzing to get back, but I would just get back, dread it, hate it, and then just be counting down until I'm next back, and just my whole life would just revolve around that in terms of when I was next coming back to the UK. People say that the UK is shit. I don't think it is. I want to be around my family. I want to be around my close friends. I want to build my life with them. I want to be around my clients more. I want to build a more community. I think it'll help my business more being in the UK. I want to be here, you know, and the longer I'm in Dubai, the more complicated it gets with regards to tax and finances. So I'm just happier here. I'm calm, I'm chilled, I'm around my best people. I'm out of an environment which changed me as a person for the wrong ways, and it changed other people around me for the wrong ways. So I have a grey cloud over Dubai. I will go back and see my boys, of course, over there at some point in time, but for holiday purposes, and I will never go back there in terms of like to live. So I'm happier here. As a business owner, you need to be happy in your head and who you are. And I think that's what I had to pay attention to, and just sort of make that uncomfortable decision to be like, you need to move back here because things aren't, you know, you're not in a good headspace. And I wasn't for a while towards the back end of it. I was not been in a good headspace in Dubai since July 2025. So that July 2025 to December 2025 was a tough period for me. Very tough period. Head was all over the place. So, you know, start the new year fresh and just get back here, and I'm just so much happier. So yeah, that is all the questions that we got through. Good questions there, good questions. And hopefully you took a little bit from it in terms of the Q&As. But that is pretty much a wrap in terms of the Q&A. Anything else you want to see on the YouTube, then please, obviously, do let me know. But we've got a busy week coming up now. We've got birthday night out on Saturday, which can't wait for. 26, fucking hell, 26. Birthday night out on Saturday in Manchester with all the boys. And then next weekend, we've got music festival. June, completely clear. Obviously, there's the World Cup to deal with, but I'm not that fussed about it. And then we go to Ibiza, which I can't wait for. I'm sure I've said it before. But that's the Q&A. Oh, sorry, I've missed a question. How do you handle a client who isn't getting results? I've worked with enough people now to know that I know when someone is bullshitting and someone is lying, because I've been through the process myself, and I've seen people be 100% bang on it themselves and they get results. If someone is not getting results, they're lying to me, they are lying to themselves, and it needs a conversation. It's about looking at all the areas that potentially is the reasons why. Mindset, you know, habits, belief in themselves, old self, and unlocking that and coaching every single individual. You know, not everyone's journey is the exact same. No journey is linear. And it's about breaking that down in terms of why are they not getting results? What can we put in place to make sticking to the plan easier? And have those difficult conversations and call people out on that bullshit. Because I know when people are lying. So it's one of those, and some people just give up. Some people can't give up their old lifestyle, and it just holds them back. And I've seen people come and go, and it's disappointing to see good guys just go back to their old self because they don't have that belief in themselves. So some people are bullshitting. You know, you cannot cheat science. There's only one way to build muscle, lose body fat. And if people aren't doing those consistently, it's about having those difficult conversations and understanding what they actually want and making sure they remind themselves of what they actually came in to do. So, yeah, that's the Q&A. Good array of questions. Any questions off the back of them, drop me a message on Instagram. Hopefully you enjoy. See you in the next one.